Tyler Smoots with Kill Stress Designs, and I'm going to take you through the build process for our linear kitchen island. This piece is made of hard maple with a steel backbone and has some steel rods running through it to bring the whole structure into tension. When you first look at it, you wouldn't think that a welding table was an integral part of producing this piece, but we used the BuildPro Table and some of the fixturing components for a large portion of this project. Here I'm preparing the table to glue up some of the maple slats. They're shaped kind of like a T, and they need to be clamped together at a 90-degree angle. I had a batch of 48 of them to do, so I wanted to come up with some kind of streamlined clamping fixture so I didn't have to mess around with a whole bunch of loose clamps and spend a lot of time doing that. With these straight edge stops, I could position two members back to back, glue them up, clamp them, go on to the next set, and I could actually fit 6 on the table at one time. And by the time I finished clamping up the 6th member, I was ready to pull the first one out of the clamps, so I could just flow right through the process. So I would just use 2 opposing wedges, tap them tight with a hammer, make sure that the pieces were registered against the stop, and flush to the table, and move on to the next. It was really, really quick. I used a similar technique to glue up the long pieces. Put the stop bracket at the end of the table, would glue up the 2 pieces. They referenced off of a couple of stop rest buttons to register the pieces at a 90-degree angle to each other. And then I used a couple of shorter bar clamps to squeeze the joint together. I could have used long pipe clamps and clamped the whole length, but then I would have had to try to control the clamp all the way at the end and then make sure that I wasn't squeezing one side tighter than the other and pulling the whole assembly out of square. So this produced a nice square component, and it was really easy to do. So I could go through a batch of these pretty quickly. Here I've got the steel frame set on the fixture table with some right angle stops to position the wood components over the metal frame repeatedly. I had threaded in some transfer centers, which are where those steel rods will thread into and indicate where I need to drill in the wood components to assemble the whole piece. I'd put the wood member in the fixture, clamp down, that would press an indent from the transfer center into the wood component. And then I'd tap the ends of the T-shaped pieces to mark those hole centers. This way, even if the wood components were a little bit bowed, they were held straight in the fixture, and I had a mark to index my drill bit. All the surfaces were in plane and aligned with each other. These are some of the steel rods that run through those wooden components. They're just steel tubing that has a threaded segment which has a little tenon turned in it, and I'm TIG welding those into the piece. I also used the table to glue up the top surface of the island. So I applied all the clamping pressure to laminate the top and also to glue up the shelf. So the end result was pretty clean, and we used the table constantly for this project.